You're listening to the Cashology Podcast by FNBO, a place dedicated to helping you become more financially savvy every day. It's a little like school, but your only homework is living your best financial life. I'm your host, Justin, and class is now in session. Welcome back to the Cashology Podcast, a place where we dive deep into personal finance to bring you actionable insights and real-life wisdom. Today, we're unpacking a concept that might seem complex, but it's fundamental to your financial health, and that's net worth. If you're like me, you've probably at some point Googled the net worth of billionaires and celebrities, but what about your own net worth? I know when I threw my name into Google, I did not like what I saw. Had nothing to do with net worth, by the way. So do you know what net worth is? Do you know why it's important to understand it? Do you know how to use it, how to calculate it? Well, I didn't know the answers to these questions, so I found an expert, and believe it or not, it's my first repeat guest on the Cashology Podcast. That's Keri Mallory. Keri joins us again and gives me a good schooling in what net worth is, how to think about it, and how it can become and be leveraged as an important tool as you navigate your financial journey. So I really hope you enjoy this episode with Keri Mallory. All right. Well, welcome back, Keri. Thank you so much for being our first, or at least my first, repeat visitor. I guess I didn't scare you too much.
Well, thank you. No, you were super fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad to have you back. And with net worth, I think some of our listeners want to know about it. Can you tell us about what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. How you come up with net worth. You take the difference between the types of assets you have and your liabilities. There's three types of assets when it comes to that, and that is liquid assets. Liquid assets are like cash, so to speak. Think of that. Cash in your wallet, quickly accessible, and bank accounts. You can usually access bank account money pretty fast. Investment accounts are assets like stocks, bonds, retirement accounts that we've got. These help you build your wealth over time. Mm-hmm. So these assets, they're going to be considered illiquid.
Makes sense.
Illiquid because they aren't quite as easily to access like cash in your wallet and can't be used for immediate needs. Other things that we consider assets to help determine your net worth are physical assets. Those are going to be things such as your home, your car, other personal property that you own. These are going to be valued at whatever their current market value is. So say somebody was going to sell something, so to speak, and kind of get appraised. What's it going for at that time in the market? And with that, you're going to get a realistic picture of what your net worth is when you take those assets, whether liquid or illiquid, and you subtract out any liabilities that you have.
Got it. So can I ask really quick? So I want to double click on physical assets. So like you were saying, home, car, personal property. This is really how minute, I don't know if that's the right word, can you get with like an asset? Is it typically, I think when I hear assets, I think of home, car, but could like my iPad be considered an asset? Is it like anything that you can sell, or is there, when we talk about net worth, like a general, it's usually these kinds of things?
No, you're absolutely right. That would kind of fit in that category of personal items. If it has any value to it, I mean, you could take that to a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And you can probably get cash for it. I mean, Apple even will consider giving you, credit towards the purchase of a new item if you return something. So that is absolutely considered an asset. There's still value to those items.
Got it. But we probably keep it a little higher level when it comes to net worth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we're trying to determine, from a financial perspective with what we're trying to do to help people plan for retirement for their future. Absolutely. We're going to be talking high value stuff. Yep.
Makes sense.
To determine those values. Yeah.
Got it. So you mentioned assets and then you touched on liabilities. Liabilities is kind of a big word. What's a liability?
So liabilities are going to be any debts, some financial obligations that we owe. Some examples of these are going to be things like student loans, a mortgage, car loans, any balances we're going to owe on credit cards, things like that. So anything you owe money on is going to be considered a liability.
Totally makes sense. So we have like these two buckets of dollars, these two buckets of things. We have assets and liabilities. Keri, how do those two come together for net worth?
Yeah. What you want to do with those is you want to calculate out your net worth to see if you're on track to a positive number, of course, and having a goal in mind of what you want to achieve. And how you determine your net worth is that you're going to list out all of your assets and you're going to figure out what their current value is. And then you're going to do the same thing for your liabilities. List out all your liabilities and how much you owe for those. Then what you're going to do after you figure that out is you're going to subtract those liabilities from the assets, and boom, you've just calculated your net worth. It's like kindergarten all over again.
Very simple math, just addition and subtraction.
Yep.
So you
absolutely.
Yeah. So you get this number, and so why is it important? Like, right. I've been working personally on a better budget and kind of like sticking to that, keeping an eye on my credit card debt. So why is it important to track your net worth?
Well, because you really always need to know where you're at, and you're going to set goals when you go to retire, or you're going to have expenses coming up. You're going to need to know where that money comes from. And so in order to eventually retire and pay for everything, in the future, you're going to need to know how you're going to get there. And so you're going to have to establish what are you making now? What are your assets? Do you need to purchase anything? What do you owe? When should you pay that off? And how should you manage all of that in order to get where you need to go? So you want to keep an eye on all of those things because they're going to impact, obviously, your future, your financial goals. Changes in that are going to be a quick wake-up call to you also to be like, nope, I need to pay down that debt. I need to probably adjust what I'm spending because looking at this now due to the change in lifestyle or whatever might have impacted that life change, you're going to want to be sure you're still on track with your savings and your investment strategies.
Got it. It's really interesting because it's like a number that does like a whole lot. It's like a really big compass of kind of the direction on your savings financial journey, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So can you walk through an example to help our listeners to understand how impactful, tracking net worth can be?
Yeah, absolutely. So at any point in time, anytime you can do this, you could be working towards a variety of different financial goals. Okay. This can be either whether you've built up some credit card debts and your goal is to pay them down. You might want to increase your emergency savings fund, might be planning for retirement. You might be paying down your mortgage, saving for your kids' college education, paying off medical bills, managing a daily budget. There is a wide variety of things that can go into that. Mm-hmm. So if you focus on these goals, kind of like in a vacuum, it's difficult to get a clear picture of your overall financial well-being. It's easier to focus on one goal while you inadvertently are sabotaging another goal. Sounds a little strange, right?
For sure.
Doing so could have a null to negative impact on your net worth. So for example, let's kind of talk through it just to get that to make sense a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's say in January, you've calculated your net worth to be $19,000. You have $20,000 equity in your home. You have $4,000 in savings and you have $5,000 in debts. Okay.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
So the equity, the savings, the debt, and the net worth. Now, let's say you made it your goal to increase that bottom total, the net worth, within the next year by increasing your savings balance to $5,000. After paying all of your bills, you have $100 left each month to put towards your goal. Within 10 months, your savings balance reaches $5,000 because it was sitting at $4,000. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Congratulations. That one's kind of an easy one. You've hit it. Also during that time, take into account your home equity. That's now increased by $1,000. However, you inadvertently increased your credit card spending And now your total debt became $7,000. So in this scenario, only focusing on increasing your savings, but not keeping your credit card spending in check had a null effect on your net worth, meaning you didn't increase your overall financial health by just achieving your savings goal. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So I was so focused on my savings, wasn't paying attention, kind of like what you were saying. I was in a vacuum, wasn't paying attention to the spending on my credit card. Spending went up, my debt went up.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like a null effect of, well, we're still in the same place. They canceled each other out.
Got to pay attention to all the categories that are going to make up that net worth. The easiest way to do that is, of course, to constantly take a look at those numbers and refigure them. A lot can happen and change in the market that's going to affect that net worth also. So you never want to lose focus of the big picture. You're going to want to keep track of all of them.
Totally makes sense. And like what you were just describing, the net worth number, the combination of all of those things takes all of those numbers, gives you that bigger picture.
Yes. So now let's consider another example. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So now let's consider the same example, but assume that you were able to keep your credit card spending in check this time, while you even managed to pay down by $500. In this example, your net worth now has increased by $2,500. You increased your savings while you simultaneously, being mindful of your debt, had a positive effect on your financial health.
Yeah.
See how that works?
Yeah. So, we have
keeping it all in check.
Yes, you have that home equity. We increased $1,000. Now we're at $21,000. Got a savings of $5,000. Paid off my debt.
Yeah.
So $4,500. And now we're sitting at net worth of $21,500. Yeah. I think that's such a really good example of how all of this comes together where, it's that you can't see the forest through the trees, or what is it? You're too close and you don't see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that metric of your net worth provides that view for you.
Yeah. And you don't want to be careful to have tunnel vision to one of the categories. As we talked about in that vacuum, be sure we pay attention to every aspect of that.
So, I think great example again of how paying down debt while also focusing on savings can really move that net worth needle.
That's right. So really, now that we went through both of those examples, kind of basic math, maybe for the banker, of course, you are improving your net worth, and it's actually kind of simple as long as you keep it within check, at least in concept. Your first goal is to have a positive net worth. After that, your goal should be to increase that net worth by continually increasing your assets while you're keeping the liabilities to a minimum. Got that?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, so
money you owe. Yep.
Have more money than what I owe first, right?
Yes.
I got $5 total net worth, and now long-term, year after year, let's get to $10, $15, $100, $1,000.
Yes,
Got it.
Absolutely. So while you're still being mindful of other indicators that could happen during the financial health, such as managing or improving your credit score and living within a solid budget, net worth will tell you a holistic story about how many aspects of finances are working together. So ideally, saving would always increase while debts would decrease. But that might not always be the case. Life happens. There may be periods when your savings is lacking, but debt gets paid down faster, or vice versa. And that's okay. It's okay. Those are going to happen.
Oh, I think that's so great because, like I was saying, at the beginning of our conversation, my wife and I were really been focused on our budget, and so as we've started to think a little bit more longer term, right? Where do we want to be a year from now, 5 years, 10 years? That budget has felt a little limiting in the sense of, right? It feels too day to day, and so kind of what you just helped walk me through, what this net worth offers is just that bigger picture and kind of like that longer term planning. So now we would kind of know, hey, our net worth should be whatever it is in 1 year, 10 years, 15 years. And so, yeah, I think this has been a really great call, really great education for me. Keri, thank you so much for coming back on. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or anything at all?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me. And as always, if anybody or you have any question, reach out to the financial experts. They'll always be more than happy to help you out and come up with a plan.
Perfect. Thanks, Keri.
Yeah, thank you.
For more resources, check out FNBO.com or subscribe to us on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. Consider giving us a rating or a review as they help us get the word out. And remember, our discussions are designed to inform and inspire. For personalized advice, we always recommend consulting a financial professional. Until next time, keep on making smart financial choices, and thanks for listening to the Cashology Podcast. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Podcasts are for informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. When making decisions about your financial situation, consult a financial professional for advice. Podcasts are not regularly updated and information may become outdated. Deposit products are offered by First National Bank of Omaha, member FDIC. Investment products are not FDIC insured, not a deposit or other obligation of the bank. Not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by the bank, may lose value. The Cashology Podcast, copyright First National Bank of Omaha.